Arturo Porzecanski is a distinguished economist in residence at the School of International Service at American University here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
You know, the president has tossed out a few names for a possible finance minister. So far, that's been met with negativity. People aren't liking who she's tossed out so far. That decision is yet to be made. Why do you think it's taken so long, and what will be the top priorities for that next person?
One of the reasons why it's taking long, I think, is because she needs to warm up to the idea of appointing someone who is not currently very close to her or her line of thinking, namely reaching out maybe to people who are further distant from her original views. Strictly speaking, also, the new term, as you mentioned, starts January 1st. There's a sitting finance minister. It's not like there's nobody in charge. So she could take until January 1st to announce, but the markets are wanting news sooner rather than later.
Stephen had just mentioned that there's the possibility of an outsider coming in. Do you think that's the best route then? Someone that's not in her sphere of influence?
Well, if she wants to surprise the markets favorably, and they badly need a surprise, that's what she should do, of course. They've tried a couple of moves. The central bank raised rates. That wasn't expected. So that surprised the markets and won some time, but that boost is gone. And then they've announced some spending cuts. That has barely made a mark. So clearly they need to announce people who will tell a new story and bring confidence to the markets.
Well, investor confidence reached a low point during that presidential campaign. A lot of people pulling for pro-business Aécio Neves, hoping that he would win. Do you think there could be a rebound? And can the president's administration really turn the other way in terms of the economy to make something happen?
Yes, although as we spoke, if you do the same things tomorrow that you did yesterday, you're going to get the same results. So she has to surround herself by fresh faces. She has to recognize that this was a very closely contested election. Half of the electorate almost is not with her. So ideally, we want to see some new faces, maybe even from Aécio's party, some people that have not been in government before and will bring some fresh ideas and fresh attitudes.
I was in Brazil a few months ago for CCTV, and I was amazed at the prices of everything. A can of Campbell's soup was $12 US, a pizza $30. Can you talk about the challenges of boosting growth and fighting inflation, especially when there's such a huge disparity? People don't make a lot of money. What will it take to turn things around? How long can it take?
Well, indeed, it's not a question of changing faces and changing names. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. The government was very lenient, very lax when it came to inflation. So year after year of 6–7% inflation has taken its toll. And also the currency was very strong. Now the currency has weakened. Today it reached a 9-year low of around 261. That's going to help regain some competitiveness. But basically they need a tough fiscal and monetary line to bring inflation down to, say, 3–4%, where it hasn't been before.
So what's your outlook for the rest of the year and looking ahead to 2015 for Brazil's economy?
I share the skepticism of the market. If you look at the surveys, people expect next year's inflation to be the same as this year's, namely 6.5%. What's that telling you? That they don't expect that this ship of state can be turned around very quickly. Likewise, in my opinion, I think that in terms of growth, inflation, and other figures, they may change for the better, but slowly.
Do Brazilians have the patience?
Brazilians have the patience, but not in the markets. So the markets are down, stocks, bonds, currencies. Being in Brazil has been one of the worst investments if you have been there this year, as opposed to being in the U.S. stocks, bonds, and the currency. But in terms of the election outcome, you know, they voted with their pocketbook only for half of the electorate. The other one is willing to give her a second chance.
All right, Arturo Porzecanski, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your perspective.